every white boy with a pair of sunglasses in my generation, and there's over 100 bazillion of us in the United States alone, knows the theme from Superfly. Dum 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 dum. Or maybe that's Freddy's Dead. We don't know, and it doesn't matter to us because we love the movie. Quick, if by the end of this interview you can remember what's the name of the main character in Superfly, then you win the trip for two to Hawaii, the Buick, and the dog food. There's no number. That's kind of a Superfly trick I would play. His name was Youngblood Priest. And Superfly was the first movie where the singer, Curtis Mayfield, was singing lyrics that were antagonistic. He was not supportive, he was antagonistic to the main character, and singing to the main character who played the part of a greedy dealer, singing to him, remember Freddy's dead. Want to be a junkie? Wow, remember Freddy's dead. Doom, 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 doom. This is a great pool party. Doom, doom. Who picked the music? Doom, 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 doom. David Lee. Doom, doom, doom. Didn't he just play some Earth, Wind, and Fire? Doom, doom. He's sexy. Yeah. Doom, doom, doom. I'm gonna blow him. Doom, doom, doom. Aren't you somebody's wife? Doom, doom, doom. So what? Doom, doom, doom. We'll be right back. Doom, doom. But not right after this. Doom, doom. So what's your name again? Doom, 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 doom.
In here.
Slick moves,
yeah.
Trying to explain American humor to people from outside the United States is an art in itself, particularly in Japan, where the idea of sarcasm is completely alien. A lot of American humor, even just basic greetings, hey, you fucking knucklehead, how you been? To them sounds completely like an insult. The idea of the reverse, man, that's a bad car, means something negative to them. So you really have to be careful about your sense of humor and trying to explain, for example, why Americans swear, particularly in big cities. I've had several language teachers now, one in Japanese and one in Spanish. And the one in Spanish is Maria. She's Puerto Rican. She's Boricua from New York City. And she had only been there a couple of years. And she asked me, David, how come everybody swears so much here? And my general consideration, here's how I see it. When you have Mr. Chin living next to Mr. Sopranowitz, who lives next to Mr. Vojgavečević, who lives next to Mr. Gonzalez. Virtually nobody can speak to each other. Their kids are learning English, and their kids have learned to communicate with each other, whatever, you know, from one way or another. But the parents, they can't really communicate beyond maybe 10, 20, 30 words of English. You know, stuff like car, go here, go there, how much, these kinds of basics. A lot of my friends who were born here in the United States barely have that much as well. We're not called upon frequently to use any other language skills besides that. And when you collide every single one of the aforementioned into the same building, into the same workspace, then you've got to have a collective language that everybody knows and that everybody can use mutually. So you go with face, you go with tone, you go with pause, you go with distance, you go with sound, you go with body language, but it's got to be less than 10 words. So not to do a George Carlin routine where, you know, it's the basic 7 words and it's all the same swearing. We all know what that is, and it's basically the same in most languages. But let's take the word shit, for example. And this is how I've tried to explain it over many, many campfires, many dinners, in many fine drinking establishments around the world outside of the United States, at least the New York City border. When you have the word shit, you can make it mean 15 different things. Like, whoa, Manny, this is some great shit. Where'd you get this shit? This is great. No, shit. Mark, you gotta try this shit. Oh, it's the shit. And if you understand the language, if you understand the humor, then you know that's the absolute utmost accolade. That's just stellar. Fucking stellar. Wait a minute. I just heard him swear. That's a negative. He must be unhappy. Something from the stars. He must mean it's fucked to the stars. If somebody got fucked to the stars, well, depending on who's getting the fucking, that could be a terrible thing. That's very high, correct? And you can understand how the mechanism gets onto a slippery slope. You can say the same thing, but with a different tone and with a different kind of a face, a different sort of body language. And you go, yo, Manny, this stuff is shit. Oof, this is shitty. Where'd you get this shit? Oof, no shit. No, this stuff is shit. Throw it. Same thing, same word, different tone, different body language, different face, different pauses, etc. But trying to explain this to somebody who wasn't raised around it creates a whole lot of questions here, because you have to understand something also, another root to the mechanism of this kind of humor, at least my kind of humor. In my kind of humor is the kind when, if you see it on television, if you turn the sound off, you're not sure if it's a drama or not. I sat with a table full of Buddhist monks not long ago in just north of Tokyo at a temple, and we had a meeting, and I thought, okay, let's do some heavy lifting, and in terms of spiritualism, let's discuss, let's argue, I don't know, something. I said, I don't think there's any laughter in heaven. There was a very long silence. In fact, you could hear a pin go. But I think that, Shakespeare or somebody that smart said it before I did, one of the ancient Greeks, Heraclitus or whoever. Actually, I think Heraclitus was the janitor where Shakespeare worked. And they both said it. Or one of them said it, and the other one said that he said it first. That's show business. More about that in a whole nother episode here. By the way, you're dialed in directly to davidleeroth.com. This is The Roth Show. Don't go away. We'll chase you. Understand, going back to around the Civil War, that you had to be able to discuss things with some authority and some humor, because there ain't no laughter in heaven. It all comes from pain. It all comes from something going wrong, then going wronger, then it really goes wrong, and then you just gotta laugh. And I think it says that in the Bible, or at least it really should. When you can relate to that kind of thinking, then you'll understand how somebody can walk in on the great massa, whoever, on the plantation days as one of the slaves, and with great aplomb pretend to be insulting somebody and go, that Mr. Johnson, that crazy slave, he's a bad man. He's a bad man, that crazy motherfucker. And to the half-witted white guy whose education was all homeschool learning or whatnot, he's the plantation owner. Well, that sounds like it's all insults. A motherfucker? Well, that's one of the lowest. And let's see, he's a bad person. Well, according to biblical writing, and he was bad or wrong, so he was turned into a pillar of salt, or however that was explained. All right? So that's a negative. And saying that he's crazy, well, if one goes crazy or loses his mind or his marbles, then that's just the same as being bad, because you're unpredictable and dangerous, etc. So you have a crazy bad motherfucker. To the uninitiated, to the uneducated ear, this is the ultimate insult. To the educated, it couldn't possibly be a better applause. It couldn't possibly be a better compliment. So let's go through it again. Let's go start again. Okay. This crazy motherfucker is bad. Bad ass. Mark, you got to see this motherfucker. He is bad. Oh, he is so bad. To the uninitiated, you're not going anywhere near that movie. To those of you who are still tuned in, we are like-minded. That's right, I can see through these glasses. These are one-way mirrors into your soul. Then you know it was the kind of movie you're probably not only going to go to widescreen 6 times, but you're going to buy that movie on DVD 6 more times.
You don't own me, pig, and no motherfucker tells me when I can split.
Darkest of night with the moon shining bright.
If you understand everything I just discussed as far as what reversing your humor, that bad motherfucker is crazy. That in fact that can be ultimately a great resource of applause. That's a great positive, etc. And you also understand that very few people in the United States, at least, can talk to each other in one language other than swearing. Well, when you put the two together, what you get out of that is sarcasm. And sarcasm and ridicule in my family were refined art forms when you were growing up. If you could tolerate it, that got you a ribbon. But if you could deal the cards, well, that got you out of everything. If you were able to really be able to find the facade, if you were able to lampoon the, what shall we call it, the unintended flaw, then you were able to get away with pretty much anything in my family. Now, sarcasm, in its most basic form, we know from all kinds of movies about New York City, when somebody walks in and goes, "Bobby, you fucking prick, how the hell are you, you asshole, you motherfucker?" And those guys are brothers. They just haven't seen each other in a few months, you follow. That is a form of greeting because suppose, let's go back to Civil War days, the wrong person is watching. Well, you don't want it to seem like there's too much affiliation there just in case you're, who knows, good cop, bad cop, you don't know. Maybe you don't want to even just allow, reticence. Hold your tongue, man. That's the seal of capacity. A lot of people, ascribe all mystery to just the absence of information. So maybe you want to leave out the information. And you don't want the person listening or the room full of people to know that you guys are friends. So you characterize it as, "Jimmy, you fucking fuck. You look like shit. How the fuck are you?" Now let's move to the funny part of sarcasm. And I've had to explain this to a number of people around many campfires, many barbecues, many Pollo Locos, and everything in between. Roth.com, We the Bomb, Roth Show. Don't go away. We won't chase you. You'll be back. Okay, so let's start from the beginning here. Here is a really good way to describe sarcasm as a loving greeting for somebody you haven't seen in a while. "Bobby, you're looking good. They make those pants in your size?" Bobby would then seem to not have noticed your insult and with a straight face would say, "Yeah, like that shirt you're wearing. I understand they're going to be making those for men very, very soon." Which cracks me up, even though this is just an analogy. But to the uninitiated, that sounds like an exchange of threats, and somebody's going to draw a gun. Which is fun. I'm not against it. But biblically comes to a bad end, like a 6-year-old with a loaded pistol. Whatever happens, it's not going to be good. Roth.com, We the Bomb, Roth Show.
Ain't that peculiar? Peculiar as can be. Ain't it peculiar, baby? Peculiarity. Ain't it peculiar? Peculiar as can be. Ain't it peculiar, honey? Peculiarity.
So what are shoes for? They're supposed to protect your feet. They're supposed to keep them warm. They're supposed to support your feet, correct? They're supposed to help your feet during sporting events, right? Ladies, is that what your shoes are doing for you right now? Any of that? Of course not, especially if they're over $500. And yes, I know. And yes, I'm very supportive. I am. Hey, I'm capable of a relationship. More about that later. Anyways, most of the shoes that we wear don't do any of that. They don't support anything. They don't protect. They don't keep you warm. In fact, they're bad for your feet. They smell because they're made out of the wrong things to wear on your feet, etc. Why do we wear them? Because they are autobiographic and they tell our story. Just like our bling, just like our sunglasses, just like our wristwatch. Or I don't wear a wristwatch, see? There's no wristwatch here. So that is my form of invisibling. It says that Dave's values are somewhere else. They're in his mirror sunglasses. Maybe he's from downtown. We can tell that because there's no watch times sunglasses plus, I don't know if you can actually see this. I'm trying to hold my foot up here. Can you actually see that? No shoes. What a bohemian. And he probably can't even spell it. How downtown is that shit? All art is autobiographic, especially when you don't mean it to be. One can never be oneself so much as when wearing the mask, which sounds vaguely Shakespearean. Don't ask me to spell vaguely, much less Shakespearean. I can barely pronunciate it. But it's the truth. And unless you fell asleep and some little kids like tattooed you or glued jujubes all over you and somehow the dye stuck and it was irreparable and you couldn't get rid of it, then the work you got is autobiographic. And it usually records something that is important to you, something that you want to remember or something that you want to import to the rest of the community, so to speak. And that can be anything from a community of people in your mind to a community of people at the nudist camp. Nudist camps are a good subject. I want to discuss that later. I just actually said not later, now. I just saw a bumper sticker that says, all you need is all you need to bring is your smile. The something Glen nudist camp. Was it the Beverly Glen? The something Glen nudist camp. I'm going to talk to the technician here. Mark, have you ever been to a nudist camp?
Can't say I have, no.
You can't say you have?
No.
But you may have. You just can't say it. Okay, that's what I thought. We're all going to a nudist camp. Stay tuned. I mean, we won't use wide-angle lenses or anything unflattering, probably. Look, I wouldn't ask you to do anything even remotely dangerous to your health, medically or otherwise, unless I thought it was going to be a lot of fun. So whether you got a tattoo of the Battle of Khe Sanh, which wasn't an entirely happy event from what I understand and from what I read, but it was something that you want to remember and perhaps you want others in the community, whatever community that may be, to also know that you were a part of. It might be a little ladybug that you got on spring break the summer of, and that is something for you to remember, and it encapsulates when you see that. Just like, I think it's Proust's, like Proust's lemon cookie, whatever. He bites into a cookie and 3 books later, his reminiscence of things past or whatever have come to a final classical conclusion. Tattoos, I think, do the exact same thing. I wouldn't recommend that you get some giant flaming 8-ball martini olive blowing across your shoulder blades before a certain age. I waited before I was, come on, 58 is the new 80 for my generation. Yeah, I think I got that right. And but if you're on your way up, I don't know if this is something that can hold you up if you're about to join a legal firm and some old guy at the head of the state discovers that you have something elaborate and that holds you up, or if in fact you're on a swim team and the coach doesn't want that represented, or there's a lot of ors. You got to be very careful there. On the other hand, how do you distinguish yourself these days when a lot of what our communities are great collections, great teams, great groups of people, whether it's the military or people who are all wearing the same uniform of any kind, folks who are just learning to be fire people, folks who are just learning to be physicians, residents at a hospital. If you're on a professional sports team and half the team has shaved its head and wears the exact same uniform, how do you distinguish yourself when everybody, like in the Marines, is the same haircut or what have you? Your ink, your tattoo, and you best believe that needle hurts you. So whatever it is that you got in terms of your ink, well, you made a commitment to it. The first question that most people ask is, does that hurt? My answer is, yeah, it feels a little bit like a cat scratch, provided that the kitty cat weighs about 320 pounds. So what am I looking at here? About 50 hours of this? 60? I must be a glutton for punishment.